Hey, I am Dramona. It has been one crazy week after another around here. Just when you think things couldn't possibly get worse, they do. First, Mrs. Skeet from down the street couldn't find her cat, but we didn't think much of it since cats have a tendency to roam about as they please, then return home when they feel like it. But it was still sad because we all know how much that cat means to her. Then my Aunt Germaine woke up one morning to find her car and property had been vandalized with human feces. They even smeared crap all over her house and were nice enough to leave crap soup in a bowl in front of the door. We were all at a loss as to who could have done such a thing, since that type of behavior was not common in our neck of the woods, plus Aunt Germaine was friendly with everybody and their germs. The police were called, but there was no evidence found, so no one knew for sure who was responsible nor what their motives were. A few days later, Sebastian's dog was found on his front lawn. It had been cut in half and burned to a crisp, then dumped there. That's when we began to panic. We held an emergency neighborhood meeting and certain decisions were made. We all needed to take turns doing neighborhood watch in groups. It was obvious to us that it was either someone from the outside doing this or the new neighbors, the Smiths, who'd moved into what used to be the Joneses' house down the street. That house has a tendency to be owned by crazy people. We were all told to keep a close eye on them since we were all aware of what went down after the house was bought by the previous couple. And if you don't know, then go back and watch my previous video. Jim was a very caring and level-headed person, plus we knew he had psychiatric experience, so he was assigned as the neighborhood psychiatrist, since Mrs. Skeet was convinced something had happened to her beloved cat and was having a hard time dealing with its disappearance. Sebastian was also not doing very well. I mean, who would be after finding their dog in such a state? Aunt Germaine had become very paranoid, going as far as not allowing her daughter to be in a room by herself. A few days passed and the traumatized were getting the help they needed, but for the most part it was pretty uneventful, so everyone began to relax a bit. Then one night around 1:30 a.m., a scream filled with the shriek of unmistakable terror pierced through the silence of the night and scared the neighborhood out of its false sense of security. We began to gather outside as the new neighbor, Mrs. Smith, was having a full-blown meltdown in the middle of the street while her son stood helplessly looking at her from the sidelines. According to her, Mr. Smith is a truck driver, so he left to do some deliveries and had been gone for a few days and wasn't scheduled to return until the following week. She said she fell asleep on the couch downstairs and woke up to tapping on the window. When she got up to check, she saw a dark figure outside her window with a knife in one hand and a long piece of bamboo in the other, just standing there looking at her with a wide smile on its face. After a few seconds, it ran into the direction of Jim's yard and disappeared into the darkness. Now I would like for you to explain to me, where in the macaroni hell would anyone find a piece of bamboo around here? Lord have mercy. I stood there thinking, that woman is 2 lies short of a lunatic. I'm sorry, but we all knew she was lying. Nothing she said was adding up, so we obviously needed to keep an eye on her. The incident was reported to the police, but once again, there was no evidence found, so nothing became of it. Jim, being the sympathetic person he is, offered to sleep on her couch until the sun came up if it would put her mind at ease, and she agreed that he could and thanked him. Everyone settled back into their beds. We could only hope that Jim will be safe.